What's up, everybody? It's Nick here, and this is your second stimulus check stimulus package update for Wednesday, October 21st. Now, we've got a lot of new stimulus developments to share with you in this video today, so let's dive straight into the video. If you watch this channel, you know that earlier this month, President Trump raised his offer of stimulus from $1.6 trillion up to $1.8 trillion. That was just $400 billion short of the $2.2 trillion that Nancy Pelosi, Speaker of the House, and the Democrats had demanded and had passed through the HEROES Act. Despite this fact, Nancy Pelosi rejected President Trump's offer and refused to come down from her $2.2 trillion stimulus demand. As a result, last week we saw a number of notable Democrats pressuring Nancy Pelosi to accept the $1.8 trillion stimulus deal and back down from her all-or-nothing approach. Then last week, Nancy Pelosi appeared on CNN's Wolf Blitzer to defend her all-or-nothing approach to the stimulus negotiations, and let's just say it was pretty heated. Here's how that interview began.
As you know, there are Americans who are being evicted from their homes. They can't pay the rent. Many Americans are waiting in food lines for the first time in their lives. Can you look them in the eye, Madam Speaker, and explain why you don't want to accept the president's latest stimulus offer?
Well, because, thank you very much, Wolf, and I hope you'll ask the same question of the Republicans about why they don't really want to meet the needs of the American people. But let me say to those people, because all of my colleagues, we represent these people. I have for over 30 years represented my constituents. I know what their needs are. I listen to them, and their needs are not addressed in the president's proposal. So when you say to me, why don't you accept theirs, why don't they accept ours? Our legislation is there to do three things primarily: to honor our workers, honor our heroes, our healthcare workers, our police and fire first responders, our teachers, our transportation, sanitation, food workers, the people who make our lives work. We couldn't be doing what we're doing without them. Many of them have risked their lives so that to save lives, and now they will lose their jobs because McConnell says let the states go bankrupt.
Excuse me.
The interview went quickly downhill from there. When Blitzer pointed out that members of Pelosi's own party were calling for her to accept the $1.8 trillion offer, Pelosi shot back, calling Blitzer an apologist for the Republican position.
Let the states go bankrupt.
Madam Speaker, but they really need the money right now, and even members of your own.
I understand that, but
even members of your own caucus. Even members of your own caucus, Madam Speaker, want to accept this deal. $1.8 trillion. Congressman Ro Khanna, for example. But let me just quote Ro Khanna, a man you know well. I assume you admire him. He's a Democrat. And he just said this. He said, people in need can't wait until February. $1.8 trillion is significant and more than twice the Obama stimulus. Make a deal. Put the ball in McConnell court. So what do you say to Ro Khanna?
What I say to you is, I don't know why you're always an apologist, and many of your colleagues apologists for the Republican position. Ro Khanna, that's nice. That isn't what we're going to do, and nobody's waiting till February. I want this very much now, because people need help now. But it's no use giving them a false thing just because the president wants to put a check with his name on it in the mail, that we should not be doing all we can to help people pay the rent, put food on the table, to enhance benefits, that they don't lose their jobs if they're state and local, we're talking about the consequences of a pandemic, that the symptoms of a problem that the president refuses to address.
But you know,
and that is the coronavirus.
Now, Blitzer criticized Pelosi for refusing to directly speak to President Trump about the stimulus and suggested that her refusal to accept the $1.8 trillion offer is due to her not wanting Trump to take any credit for the deal. That's when the gloves really came off.
But there are millions of Americans who have lost their jobs. They can't pay the rent. Their kids need the food.
That's right, and that's what we're trying to get done.
$1.8 trillion, and the president just tweeted, stimulus, go big or go home. He wants even more right now, so why not work out a deal with him, and don't let the perfect, as they say here in Washington, be the enemy of the good.
Well, I will not let the wrong be the enemy of the right.
What's wrong with $1.8 trillion?
You know what? Do you have any idea what the difference is between the spending that they have in their bill and that we have in our bill? Do you realize that they have come back and said all these things for child tax credits and earned income tax credits, for helping people who have lost their jobs, are eliminated in their bill?
No, yesterday I spoke to Andrew Yang, who says the same thing. It's not everything you want,
but you know what?
There's a lot there.
Honest to God, you really, I can't get over it, because Andrew Yang, he's lovely. Ro Khanna, he's lovely. They are not negotiating this situation. They have no idea of the particulars. They have no idea of what the language is here. I didn't come over here to have, so you're the apologist for the Obama, excuse me. God forbid.
Madam Speaker, I'm not an apologist.
Obama.
I'm asking you serious questions because so many people are in desperate need right now. Let me ask you this.
Okay.
When was the last time?
Let me respond to you.
Let me ask you, when was the last time, Madam Speaker, when was the last time you spoke with the President about this?
I don't speak to the President. Speak with his representative.
Why not call him and say, Mr. President, let's work out a deal. It's not going to be everything you want, not going to be everything I want, but there are so many Americans right now who are in desperate need. Let's make a deal.
What makes me amused, if it weren't so sad, is how you all think that you know more about the suffering of the American people than those of us who are elected by them to represent them at that table. It is unfortunate that we do not have shared values with this White House, and that they have in their bill, why don't you talk about in their bill, a tax break for the wealthiest families in the country, while they cut out the earned income tax credit for the poorest families in our country.
And you said this, let me read a line from the letter you wrote. The President only wants his name on a check to go out before Election Day and for the market to go up. Is that what this is all about? Not allow the President to take credit if there's a deal that will help millions of Americans right now?
He's not that important. But let me say this, with all due respect, and you know we've known each other a long time, you really don't know what you're talking about.
$1.8 trillion is a lot of money. The American people need that money ASAP because they're suffering right now. And I'm not saying it's perfect, but I'm saying...
And you don't care how it's spent.
I care, of course, how it's spent. But what I don't understand is why not talk to the President personally, call him up and say, Mr. President, let's get a deal tomorrow.
Look, let me say this. The President has sent Mr. Mnuchin to negotiate. That's what we've done with other presidents. This isn't unusual. Mr. Mnuchin, I think he has integrity representing his position. May I finish, please? But he has integrity representing his position, but his position has no integrity. They do not share our values. Have a little respect for the fact that we know something about these subjects. And there's a big difference between Democrats and Republicans in whether they want to give a big tax cut to the wealthiest people in the country in their bill, in the CARES Act. We tried to take it out in this bill. Instead, they took out earned income tax credit, child tax credit, expanded health benefits to UI benefits to the extent that it was agreed to before.
All right. Now, as you'll see in this next clip, when Blitzer tried to cut to a commercial break, there was even more back and forth between the two before the network finally cut it off and went to commercial.
Speaker, these are incredibly difficult times right now, and we'll leave it on that note. Thank you so much for joining us.
We'll leave it on the vote that you are not right on this, Wolf, and I hate to say that to you. But I feel confident about it, and I feel confident about my colleagues, and I feel confident in my chairs.
And it's not about me. It's about millions of Americans who can't put food on the table, who can't pay the rent,
and we represent them. And we represent them.
Getting by
and we represent
these
them.
long food lines that we're seeing.
Them.
I know you are. I'm just saying.
We represent them, and we know them.
As we say.
We know them. We represent them.
Don't let the perfect be the enemy of the good, as they say.
It is nowhere near perfect.
Madam Speaker.
Always the case, but we're not even close to the good.
All right, let's see what happens, because every day is critically, critically important.
Nancy Pelosi is not the only one, though, who has been taking heat from her own party over the stimulus negotiations. President Trump has been receiving pushback from Senate Republicans over the past couple weeks because of his increasing offers in stimulus from $1.8 trillion, now up to $1.9 trillion, and he's calling for even bigger stimulus deal than the $2.2 trillion that Nancy Pelosi has been pushing for. In fact, last week, Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell announced that the Senate would be voting this week on another $500 billion or so skinny stimulus bill in the Senate.
Senator McConnell, you've scheduled a vote on a roughly $500 billion stimulus package on Monday. Do you expect enough Senate Democrats to back that so that it has a shot at passing? And if it doesn't, what is the point in having that vote?
Well, Morgan, I hope you followed what I've been trying to do the last 2 months. I've been trying to get the Democrats to agree to do a highly targeted bill dealing with COVID-19 and where we are today. They are still insisting on an upwards of $2.5 trillion grab bag. And so what I'll put on the floor is a highly targeted $500 billion. That's a lot of money. A $500 billion program to target the actual needs that the country has. I'm not anticipating that they're going to support it, but I'm going to give them the opportunity, and we'll see.
As you'll see in this next clip, McConnell has been dismissive of President Trump's call for Congress to pass a bigger stimulus package.
President Trump has suggested that Congress should go big or go home with the stimulus package. So why are you proposing something that's $500 billion, as you mentioned, but it's much less than the original proposal you made?
I'm proposing what we think is appropriate. Senate Republicans, this is very similar to the vote we had about a month ago. It had everyone but one of Senate Republicans supporting it. I'm putting on the floor what we think is appropriate to tackle this dread disease at this point.
Now, Mitch McConnell has also taken a lot of heat lately for appearing callous about the need of more stimulus for the American people. During a debate held on October 12th, McConnell can be seen laughing as his opponent is criticizing him for standing in the way of a stimulus deal.
The House passed a bill in May. And the Senate went on vacation. I mean, you just don't do that. You negotiate. Senator, it is a national crisis. Yeah. You knew that the coronavirus wasn't going to end at the end of July. We knew this. I mean, I just think you've got to. And here's the thing: if you want to call yourself a leader,
so Bill,
if you want to call yourself a leader, you got to get things done. And those of us that served in the Marines, we don't just point fingers at the other side. We get the job done.
Now, earlier this week, in response to concerns about Republicans' opposition in the Senate to a broader stimulus deal, Trump reassured Americans in an interview that if he can reach a bipartisan stimulus deal with Pelosi and the Democrats, the Senate Republicans will support it and fall in line.
But aren't you getting pushback from Senate Republican leaders?
I will take care of that problem in 2 minutes.
So do you think we can have a deal before Election Day?
Look, if I had something that would be good, I think I could quickly convince the Republicans to do it. They're ready to do it. But Nancy Pelosi does not want to do it.
All right, let me ask you.
I wish your governor would call up Nancy Pelosi and say, do it. She wants to hold it till after the election. And I think it's bad for the Democrats. If they sent a bill over, I am ready, willing, and able. And I wanted a higher number than she wanted.
What's your number?
I'd go higher than her number, and who knows what her number is. But if you said $1.8 trillion, if you said $2 trillion, if you said $2 trillion too, many numbers, I'm willing to go higher than that because it wasn't the people's fault. This whole thing that we talk about was China's fault. They caused this problem, and they're going to pay for this problem.
McConnell has in fact confirmed that if a deal is reached that has bipartisan support, he will put it to a vote on the Senate floor. Now, on Sunday, Nancy Pelosi announced that she would be placing a 48-hour deadline for reaching a stimulus deal before the election. Although the 48-hour deadline has now expired, Pelosi and the White House, Steve Mnuchin specifically, continue to negotiate the terms of a stimulus deal. We will have to just wait and see if they are able to strike a deal before the election. So that's all I've got for you today. If you like this video, give it a like. Make sure to hit that subscribe button below and click the bell notification icon so that you do not miss any of my update videos. And as always, thank you for watching.